Welcome to the Movement Podcast, Episode 2, What Makes a Man. This is something I'm passionate about, and I'm so excited about sharing this with you guys. My name is Wilson. I'll be your host today. I'm with JP, and Cam, and we are the Shepherds of Men. Now, before I get started, I want to make sure we preface the entire podcast movement and make sure that you know that this is catered to men. So if you're listening to this, man, if you're easily offended, if you're weak-minded, if you're, so politically correct that, man, you're just a silent pansy, I'm just sorry. Just don't listen to us. Choose another podcast, go somewhere else, and I appreciate you tuning in for the time being. But you've been warned. This is our truth we're sharing. We're not going to apologize for that, and we're speaking what we believe. So, welcome, guys. I have been thinking about this for all week long, and I'm really pumped about what makes a man. And I don't know if you guys have asked anybody in the area about what makes a man, but I have actually done this a couple times, and it's surprising to me. Well, actually, not really. Just in the society that we live in today, it's not that surprising. But people just don't have an answer, And I don't know if you guys have been able to share this or seen this or heard of this from other people, and I've asked you to ask. So definitely want to start with JP. Man, what's your interaction this week about asking people about what makes a man, or what's your impression?
Yeah, so honestly, from my opinion, what I've gathered from people when I talk to them is the generic answer. Generally provider, dad, husband, the things that you are supposed to, and I know you guys can't see this, but it's quotation, supposed to do. But I'll tell you what people are really good at, and it's what you're not supposed to do. And for me personally, the reason that I believe that people are able to do that is because most of them live that life. They're more familiar with what you probably shouldn't be doing than they are about what you should be doing. Mm-hmm. And ultimately that comes out. And especially when you corner somebody like what you said, I'm telling you right now, I asked 5 different guys, and these were respectable guys. These were guys that were pretty good in their careers. They were considered sharp by social standards. But their response started with, well, they should, you want to be a provider, take care of your kids, be there to make sure that the family's financially, stable and stuff like that. And I said, well, what isn't a man? What should a man stay away from? Where should he steer from? Oh, well, he probably doesn't need to, put his hands on his wife. He doesn't need to be absent in the household.
I put my hands on my wife. But they're like open-handed and groping, more like. That's not a proof.
And she likes it.
Yeah. She does love it.
Yeah.
Hey, babe, I love
mine's
you.
more closed hand. My wife likes it.
What? I don't even. All right, move on.
My wife is mean.
It's jokes, guys. It's all jokes.
But seriously, that's
right.
most guys, and to be honest, we all know this, but the negative is way easier than the positive. It's a lot easier to talk about the negative aspects of stuff than it is the positive aspects of things. So as far as I'm concerned, I got the generic answers, which were some decent answers. I'm not saying that that's wrong. You should be a financial provider. You should take care of your children. You should take care of your wife and stuff like that. So I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I feel like that was like what they were told from society, right? Like they were watching News Channel 4 last night, and they were like, hey, if you want to be a good dad, you should take care of your kids. That's a great idea.
I ain't never been to jail.
I ain't never been to jail. But
I've literally heard that before from somebody like, man, I'm a good dad. I've never been to jail. You're not supposed to go to jail.
And that's your litmus test. It's like, seriously?
Exactly.
Well, that's because the bar's been lowered, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But Wilson, that would be my response from what I experienced.
Cam, what you think?
I haven't had as much direct feedback as talking to people this week, asking this question, but I will tell you, through thinking through this and knowing the topic we were going to talk about, and even just researching it in general, and as some people would call research, Googling it, it's amazing how you have to kind of dig through content to find anything that's worth a crap. There's really a lot of just dumbass stuff out there that's funny, but we talked about this last time. I think we talked about it last time, where it is funny and it's entertaining, but it's kind of sad because what a man has become in society is really a joke. It really is. You look at sitcoms, you look at TV, you look at movies. And it's like, then this is what kids are watching. This is what young men are watching, and it's this is the example. This is the cookie cutter. Is watch this bumbling idiot that doesn't know how to lead his family and his wife is kind of running the show, and this is not a chauvinistic thing. It's an embarrassment to what a real man is supposed to be.
Almost like the women have to stand
They
up.
have
as the
to.
man's
Right.
not
Listen,
gonna
here's
do
the
it.
truth, man, and we all know this. We've got some amazing wives, and they're strong. They are women of strength, and they will do what needs to be done, but they don't want to have to.
Right.
And they shouldn't have to. It wasn't made. It wasn't created that way. So women are strong enough to step up and do everything they have to do, but in today's world, they're having to do it too much. Right, and it shouldn't be the case. They should be able to just be treated like princesses and queens, and that's not a chauvinistic thing either. And we talked about this. I gotta watch myself. But we got some feedback on some of my comments. But whether you wear panties or don't wear panties, it doesn't matter. You listen to the episodes, you're gonna love it. If you're a man or a woman, you're gonna love it. This is great stuff. If you're a woman and you haven't found a real man yet, you're gonna learn what one looks like. If you're a man and you haven't been able to become a real man yet, you're gonna learn how to become one. I think this episode here is really the foundational thing of what this whole movement has launched from. So anyways, that's my 2 cents on it for right now. O'Neal, what about you, man?
Man, so I reached out to several different really age groups. I didn't get a chance to really ask the female side of things, but I am interested in that. So hopefully we'll get some feedback on that, IG and Facebook and whatnot. But, I reached out to my brother today, and I didn't get any negative feedback. I actually got positive feedback there, what a man's supposed to be. And I'll just read his text. He said, a man provides, a man respects his partner, family, and those around him. He protects those he cares about. He does stuff he doesn't want to do in order to provide for his family. And that was just off the top of his head, which that's huge. So for those listening, my brother, it would be classified as I guess a millennial. So those of you who dislike millennials,
What did you say it like that?
Surprise there.
I mean,
my
that's
brother's
got to be a
sharp,
small
though.
percentage of millennials.
He's-
That's
yeah,
right.
Yeah, small.
But he's sharp, man. He gets
Right.
it. We grew up in the same household, so that's a pretty big deal. But one thing that he said that really stood out to me was that he does something. What does he say? He does stuff he doesn't want to do in order to provide for his family. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
To not only be that provider, but to sacrifice your time in order to make sure that things are right in your home.
Absolutely.
Even when it's easy to sit there and watch the game in the recliner, right? Crack a brewski after work. But when shit needs to get done, a real man wouldn't just sit in the recliner and watch the game. He gets up and gets shit done.
Yeah.
It is sacrifice. I mean, the whole thing is sacrifice. And
Absolutely.
every time that you think, oh, this is too hard, or I don't feel like it, or whatever, honestly, that should be a trigger where you're going, it's probably something I should do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, big time.
If your kid comes to you and says, "Hey, Dad, play with me," dude, get off the couch and go play.
Yeah, because
I mean,
it's not going to happen forever.
right? Yeah.
Because they're going to grow up, and then I saw something the other day. It was just like a little comment, but it pulls at the heartstrings. Where the dad's working and the kid's like, "Hey, Dad, let's play. He's like, "I can't right now. I'm busy." And then later in life, the dad in the comic, the dad's starting to ball a little bit, and the kid's a teenager. He's like, "Hey, son, you want to do this?" And the kid was like, "Nah, Dad, I'm busy." And it
come
comes
back.
Nuts
around,
right there, boy.
That comes back around.
Yeah, that's life throwing that.
That's a
karma
baseball
back
glove in
at
your face right there.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
God, it's
Let's
sad.
be honest. Being a man it's difficult.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
It's a difficult thing. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. If you're skating through life and you're a man and you're listening to this podcast right now,
You're not a
and
man.
stuff is easy,
You're not a man.
then you're not doing it right.
You're
Right.
a male.
It's just like our
you're,
post.
you're not doing it right.
It's just like our post the other day. You turn 18, you got nads. Doesn't mean that you're a man. You have to earn that.
Okay, so is it just me? I got mine before I was 18.
Well, yeah, I did too.
Maybe I
Mine dropped
misread
like
the
a long
post.
time ago.
Like
Okay,
one
all
or
right.
both.
You said you turned 18 and then you got nads.
Well, I don't know what
I
the post
misread
said. Is that what the post said? That's what I
don't know,
thought it said.
whatever.
You
but
turned
anyway.
18 and then you got them?
Well, I mean,
like 11.
Well,
I
why is there
should
so
say-
much confusion
Hey,
out there?
All right, let me correct that. It was
Man, good
you
for you.
turn
Now I
18 and you got a set of nads. Doesn't mean that you're a man.
Now I see why you smile all
sorry.
the time.
I found
I'm
mine.
excited too because like
At 17 and 364 days, I'd be like, oh, shit, something's got to happen. Something's got to happen because there's a lot of bare space down there.
Right?
I sense disappointment from our production man over there.
That's funny. So I know that coming into this, I've asked a few people, and I got crickets. I literally, whenever asked what it makes a man, my response was mostly very like I don't know. But then when I flipped it, I said, well, what doesn't make a man? That's when it started flying off off their
more
tongues.
normal.
And it was more normal. And it's just funny. Well, not funny. Actually, it's pretty sad to say that it's easier to talk about the negative side of things and what doesn't make a man than it is what it is, because there's not enough men out there being the examples they need to be to lead their family and lead the society that we're supposed to. So I want to see and just kind of dig a little bit on your personal lives in sense of, give me some examples of men that you've come across that weren't like a man. Like, give me, what they've said, how they interacted, maybe personal if you have something, and just kind of give me some information. Anybody want to go first? Go ahead, Cam.
So, I mean, we talked about this in episode 1. I have a great example of a man as my father, and it's a huge blessing, and honestly, something I probably take for granted and don't even realize it. But there's so many things that are unsaid that are just, it really is example. That is really what set the tone, was the way he lives his life. I was going to say lived, but lives his life to this day. He's always the same. He's always stable. He's not emotionally up and down. And it wasn't always things he told. There's a couple little things that he told me that I remember to this day that are like just little simple words of wisdom that I teach my kids now. But mostly it was just that he kept his shit together, and he went through crap like every other human on earth, right? Just like what JP was just talking about. Like, if your life is super, super easy right now, like something's up. Like, you need to leave your mom's basement and like go interact with people and stuff, right? Because it's not supposed to be easy, but even when it's not easy, can you keep a level head? Can you keep emotionally stable? Not like internally there's probably struggle and there's things that you're dealing with, but as a man, like, that's part of it, man. Right. You just man up and do what you're supposed to do and take responsibility for it. And some of the other, outside of my dad, I've had some other great mentors through some entrepreneurial opportunities and through church, honestly, for me, pastor of mine, that have just been great examples of the things. And it's not so much the time that we get. Yes, I've gleaned a lot of wisdom from the words they've said to me, and even the words I've heard them say to others, but more so just watching them, observing their life, observing how they interact with their kids, how they interact with their wife, how they interact with the people around them, the people that they lead in those different environments, and how they care and how they love. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people miss is like they think, oh, if you're a man, you got to be tough. Well, I mean, yes, you need to have a tough skin and you need to be mentally tough, but you need to love people, man.
And you need to tell them.
And you need to tell them you love them, yeah.
But let's be honest. If you're a confident man and you're confident in who you are, saying I love you is not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
It's not a weakness. That's an insecurity.
That's an insecurity for sure, 100%.
And I mean, and even in our personal life, I mean, not to say whatever. I mean, I respect this guy, Ashley's father. I mean, he just doesn't say it as often, And then she said, and I come from an environment where every time we got off the phone, you're like, I love you. Mm-hmm. Where she comes on into play, you say, I love you. It's kind of like a foreign word, in her family. But her family, you come into that environment, you automatically know you're loved. It's a different precedence. And it's really cool to feel that vibe. Like, it's literally a fresh breath of air.
It's like an aura.
In their house, because it's just, they got it so together. Him and his wife has really put together a great family that anybody want to model. Now, they have their struggles. Everybody does. But my family is like very chaotic, and it's like, whoa, very dysfunctional at times. And that's because some people we're just very outspoken. We're all like, woo, in your face kind of deal about what we believe. So go ahead. Oh, do you have something?
Yeah, man. So as far as examples of whatnot, man, my pops and my grandfather were solid growing up. But the issue there was that I only saw them, I don't know, 2 months, 3 months out of the year tops. Because of visitation, divorce, all that kind of stuff. But as far as hard work, as far as my dad goes, hard work, being a provider, bar none. I never struggled. Or my brother or sister never struggled for anything, right, or wanted for anything. My grandfather was always one that was silent and didn't talk much until something needed to be said.
Those old school cats, boy.
They're very old school.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean,
they'll drop some nuggets on you in a second.
And when they speak,
we're telephone.
When they speak, everybody shuts up. It's like, whoa, hey.
Holy shit,
he had that ability. He had that ability. So a lot of that was, old school cat. But there was a presence to him, like you could tell, like it was cool to be, we were playing, but then when it's serious time, it's serious time. He's dropping nuggets, man, and it was neat. But both of them, telephone man background. I mean, pretty much everything in the town we're from was a lot of it was put up by them, and done the right way. It was big about doing the right way the first time. But another thing, my pops always, one thing he taught me, because I was raised by my mom and her husband at the time. But one thing he taught me when I started coming out here in the summers was to stand my ground. Don't let people run over you. That's super important now.
Very important.
And that paid off for me many times, Didn't always want to hear it at first because violence was a, I don't want to say beat people up if they differ with you, but that wasn't it. It was people would pick on me because I was a little bit smaller at the time, went through a growth spurt. And then,
and you got some hair on your chest.
Yeah,
I got some hair on my chest, and people were like, "Whoa!"
So you got some other people's hair on your chest.
I'm not really sure where that came from.
JP has no room to talk.
It's pretty.
Well,
covered.
if you haven't, just give it an episode or two, and he won't wear a shirt.
It's slick as a baby.
Lord have mercy.
Haters gonna hate.
That's right. That's exactly right.
But that was, man. He taught me to stand my ground, and not be a pushover. So and that's a big deal because nowadays people, especially with social media stuff like that, it's not about striking back. It's being able to have that the self-image to not let it bug you, you know, and being slow to anger was something that both of them helped with. Who is he? Oh, he called you that? Okay. Are you that? No. Okay then.
Words shouldn't offend you.
And that's, and we got some feedback on that from the first episode, but then that's the thing. The words only have the power you give them.
Exactly.
And that was something that my
if you
grandfather
get
also
twisted
told me.
about that stuff, man, that's on you.
Yep.
Get mentally tough, for
Yep.
real.
A lot of the opinion stuff too. One thing I got from my grandfather was being able to tolerate other people's opinions without having to accept them as your own. And that's really stuck with me. Kind of I mean, he's my late grandfather. He passed away from lymphoma, but that was one thing that stuck with me from him big time, was that, there's a lot of, opinions are, everyone has them, right? So especially nowadays, man, with social media being so, everyone has an opinion on social media. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to accept it as your own. Cool. That's what he thinks. That's his perspective. Something he's gone through in life lets him believe that way. It doesn't affect me at all.
Absolutely.
I think on that topic too, like it's almost another sign of society now is you're talking about everybody has opinions, but social media gives people an outlet to give those opinions freely. And then we're talking about what makes a man. Like if you base your own self-worth on what people are spouting out on social media that don't have any idea who you are, like you need to reevaluate that. Like you need to say, like, what is really the foundation of my life? Where do I find my worth? I don't find it through a bunch of strangers on some stupid website.
Amen.
So,
What about you, Josh?
What about you, Josh? JP?
Well, so
damn, this is about to be good.
well,
He cleared his throat and everything.
Yeah. So if I'm going to come into this, I'm coming from a different angle than you guys are, and I have benefited way more than you guys have, because I didn't have a dad. Zero involvement from a father. Nobody ever told me I did a good job. I'm proud of you. I love you. I didn't get that kind of stuff. I'm not bitter about that. I'm not angry. I've accepted that fact. I've moved on from it. And truly, and I don't mean like, just some lip action, because I could give a shit less what people think about that, because I've moved on from it and I'm okay with it. To this point, what's great, I mean, now my dad has apologized for that. My dad has tried to re-inject himself back into my life, which is great, because he's done a lot of great things for our country. He served. He was a badass in the military. Might have been some detrimental things and stuff like that. But one thing that I'll tell you guys that I was super beneficial to experience is my mom worked in a nursing home. So my mom was an RN. My mom worked in a nursing home for a long time when I was young. So I spent a lot of time with old men. I mean, old women as well, but for the sake of this conversation, old men. I believe personally, where I developed my drive and my dedication to my family and moving forward is because some of these old men that were sitting on their deathbeds talked to me about principles, about things that were important, about when you do something, picture yourself signing your freaking name on everything you do. And I don't care if it's you walk into a store and there's a lady behind you and you walk in and let that door shut. You sign your name on that door.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You're opening this door because Josh Persons is a jackass and he doesn't have 5 seconds to hold the door. So I believe a man's character is created in the little things in life, the small things. And that's where, and Cameron, we've had this conversation before.
Yep.
The mundane bullshit stuff that you don't get an award for, you don't have anything to hang on your wall for it, that is what truly describes your character as a man. That is what the old school mentality was. You pulled the chair out for the woman, not so that everybody could see you pull the freaking chair out for the woman, but so that the woman didn't have to pull it out herself. So, and I'm sorry. I
feel you, man.
I get excited about stuff like that. It's
good.
Real shit for me. That's where I benefited. I was thinking about this from the last time we did our last podcast. I really started asking myself, like, why are you driven? You didn't have a dad in your life. You didn't have anybody that was pushing you going, look, son, keep going. You might not have made the team, or you might not have got as far as you wanted to go, or you might have got let go from your job, or you might not have made it through your college career, or whatever it may have been. Keep going, son. I didn't have that in my life. So what truly drove me to be where I am today? And I'm nowhere near where I want to be. So Please don't take that wrong.
Oh, we're all becoming.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where I take pride, is in becoming. But I saw some old men that were laying on their deathbeds that looked at me and said, son, your responsibility as a man cannot be discounted.
Right.
It's not a coupon. You get out there and you do it right. If it costs $10, you do $10 worth of work. And I know that's probably a weird example for it, but there is no, hey, you can get it for $5.50 because you got a coupon. You don't have to hold the door if she's 10 seconds away. It's only if she's within 10 seconds, kind of shit. So, and I know that's kind of a weird example and stuff like that, but for me personally, I believe that from my past, that's where I have seen the epitome of what a man is. And I was lucky enough to see the greatest generation in a bed dying.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to mention was you think about the greatest generation, you think about that age group, that demographic, like you don't really think about a lot of words. You think about a lot of action. You think about a lot of quiet leaders that just did things because they were the right thing to do. And they weren't convenient. There weren't anything. There weren't a lot of smiling faces. Honestly, if I think about that, I think about my grandfathers. They weren't like chipper all the time, but they always had their shit together. They always did what they needed to do. They didn't necessarily do it with a smile on their face, but they did it every single time without exception. Every single time.
And if you didn't, you
get
popped.
You get popped. Right.
Your head.
Right.
Somebody had a repercussion. They actually kept you accountable.
Consequences and repercussions.
Yeah.
Right. No, I absolutely agree with that. Yeah. And not to get too deep in it, what was really cool is to see a bunch of men that really grew up in that generation. And I got to talk to a lot of women, too. I got to talk to a lot of older women that were like, you know what? I was treated right. I mean, if I burnt the food, I might have got beat up a little bit, but I was treated right.
Wow, we have hit women twice in this episode already.
Oh, man.
Look,
I want to remind the listeners that I was open-handed groping my wife.
Yes.
This was mutual pleasure. Well, at least I think it's mutual pleasure.
It's just
individual pleasure for sure.
That was comic relief. I knew we were getting
All
deep.
comic
But
relief.
but I would challenge every man out there, to be honest with you, just right now, if you're listening to this podcast, go spend some time in a retirement home or whatever. Go somewhere where there's some older folks.
Hang out with your grandpa.
Go
veterans.
Go volunteer some time and talk to some of them. Just talk to them.
Or better yet, listen to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just shut up and sit in the room.
That's a great point. No, I appreciate you saying that. That's
ask questions. I don't mean that. I'm just saying, like, yes, talk to them, but like ask questions where you can glean wisdom from them. Don't just like talk at them or whatever.
No, I agree,
Yeah.
and that's some of the best.
And the only reason I say that for clarity is because some people be like, they didn't know that's what I should have done.
So I swept the floor, and this is what I did, and they should have paid me $25, and they only paid me $20, and
this old dude's like ready to take you out like freaking Chuck Norris at any moment.
Yep. So
like if you
don't
only
underestimate
knew.
those old bastards either. They would kill you.
no. But see, the thing about it is, shit was hard. As a man, shit was hard. It wasn't an easy life. You had to, especially when you talk about the greatest generation, because if you, man, I could get on a soapbox for that. I'm not going to, because it's another podcast. But you talk about guys that went in World War II and World War I, and what they did was stupid. Like that, and I don't mean stupid by their actions. I mean it was just stupid, just bravery, confidence, patriotism. Like what they did. Like the guys today, I don't know if our society today would do the same thing they did.
I
back
can
then.
tell you,
Absolutely
they wouldn't.
not.
100% they wouldn't.
No, absolutely. So this is good stuff, guys. And just kind of give you a little bit of background on me in this regard too, is like I had family, like all of my family members have been divorced. Without some like my cousins and stuff like that, most cases in immediate family, I'm the only one that hasn't. So for me, basically, for like having that situation to be in a separate home, it was very challenging to get the time that you needed with your father or with your mother or whatever. And in my personal lifestyle is like my dad was in the picture, but he wasn't. And a lot of the things that he did, honestly, my entire salvation is due to him in that regard. So I owe my internal salvation to him because of the example he made in the beginning. But then when the things hit the fan and things that hit in his life, he chose to do less. He decided to be a victim of his circumstances in certain situations. And it's just like, I look at him and I see so much goodness. And I encourage him as often as I can. I love him to death. But I don't agree with his lifestyle. I don't agree to what he does now. But when we were growing up, he was very disciplined. And some of the things that I learned from him were the right way and the wrong way. And the biggest thing I would probably preface is, man, listen to your kids. It was one thing that for me, growing up in that environment, I never had a word. Like I just didn't matter when it came to let me defend myself before you give me a whipping, because if you hear my side of the story, it might be a little bit different. Because I was a good kid, I felt like I was anyway. I was always in trouble, and it literally.
I gotta be honest with you, dude. I would have talked myself out of so much time.
Yes.
No. So I want to interject in here. The thing about it is, kids are supposed to ask why.
Right.
That's their
They are.
job.
Yeah,
They're curious.
learning.
They're supposed to ask why. So that's, and we've talked about that before.
Right.
I make it a point to at least 5 times a day to take a knee in front of my son, and not to bow out to myself, but to get eye level with my child, which my child is 3 years old. For anybody that's listening to this podcast, he's 3 years old and he's just over 3.5 foot tall. He's cock diesel.
He is.
Yes, he
built
is.
like a brick shit
Yeah,
house.
he is, dude.
He's solid.
I pulled up at your house earlier, and he's out there, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to mess with this kid.
The kid can do pull-ups,
No.
sit-ups, and all this other stuff. Like other
Right, he's
kids
in the
shouldn't be able to
He
do
was in the
this.
Mexican restaurant yesterday doing pull-ups in the window. He's like, Mom, look.
with his shirt off, by the way.
Like, Mom, look.
I just did 100. I'm keeping
Oh,
going.
Daddy's so
This is great.
proud.
Here,
Daddy's
son,
so
take
proud.
this Dos Equis.
Mainly because the shirt's off.
You're actually
Yeah.
on that note, your son would put other men to shame. Like honestly, literally, I'm telling you, there's so many weak men out there that your own kid that's 3 years old could literally knock them in the nuts and be like, "What's up?"
Yeah.
And they would take it.
Well, that goes back to, what are you demonstrating to your children? My
Right.
son sees me working my rear end off, and then outside of that, clanging metal. Like that's what he sees. Because I have taken my gym into my garage because there's 2 reasons. I don't want to pay somebody else. I'd rather own my own gym in my garage, and it has created an environment where I can work out in front of my children.
100%.
Which
Dude, that's a huge deal, too.
That is.
I mean, I don't know if we're getting into that right now,
Just
but
be
I've
an
seen,
example.
Yeah, well, I mean,
It's the
just as a
example
father,
thing, yep.
and that was kind of my point with all this is being the example in front of your kids, and then giving your kids the opportunity. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm the world's worst. I'm a strict parent. I'm fair, but I'm strict. So when my wife says something to my son and he says why, oh, it's on like Donkey Kong.
Right.
Don't you question your mother. Get your butt in there and brush your teeth.
Right.
Like that's the way that I look at it. But I've started to look at things not from a weaker perspective, but from a eye level.
Right.
And I want to physically, not just say, hey, I'm going to listen to my son. I want to physically get on your level. So I'll squat down and make eye contact with you and say, what's wrong with it? What don't you understand? Or if he's having an attitude with me or his mom, I'll squat down, I'll get eye level with him, and I'll go, buddy, what's wrong?
Exactly.
What's going on? Because I want to know. I never had anybody do that.
Well,
for
the truth is, man, like I have to believe that, and we all have kids here.
Yeah.
And if I look back at, because I do this constantly, I know y'all do this too. Like when I'm having interactions with my kids, and I've got sons, so I'll just say sons. When I have 3 of them, when I have interactions with them, I'm thinking when the roles were reversed, and my dad was me, and I was him. Was I a little, was I like that too? And I definitely was. But it wasn't because I was being a punk or anything. It was just because, because I was independent and I was growing and I wanted to be what I was becoming, not just be like told to do what I was told to do by my dad all the time, Mm-hmm. So like that, but that whole thing about, I remember my dad doing similar. I don't know if it was the whole kneeling down eye to eye, but it was taking a half a second to go, let me explain to you why we're doing this.
Exactly.
Right? And I remember that, like nothing, not even one specific thing. I just remember my dad always being the guy that would be strict but fair, but after he was strict and fair, he would explain to me why, and he would always say what we were talking about earlier. He would always say, I love you. Right? And I do that to my kids all the time now. I got on my 4-year-old last night pretty good. And as he was leaving the room, I said, hey, and when I say that, he turns around, we look in the eyes, and I said, I love you. Right? So he knows I love him. He knows I'm trying to make him better. But it's important to listen to him as well, not just tell him stuff all the time. So,
and that's my
thank
point.
you for saying it.
So, and not to say demean my dad or whatnot. I respect him. I loved him. He's a great person in general, and he's got my back, like support wise. He's always wanting to pray for me and all that kind of stuff. So, nothing to say that.
I love your dad.
So
I've always had a great relationship.
If Dad,
with
when
your
Pops,
dad.
you're listening to this, there's not a stab to you, but at the same time, there wasn't that moment of going, okay, hey, this is why you're getting in trouble. This is why, to help me understand. I just always got in trouble. And I, literally, my sister and my stepbrother and me would have to go pick up rocks. Like, it got to the point where it's like, I can't beat you anymore. I'm just going to have to do some other stuff.
Prison.
Yeah. It's like, I'm getting child services on me or something,
look, I'm a workout warrior, and there's a part of me that really gets excited about that kind
picking
of
up rocks. Yeah.
I don't mean me picking up rocks. I mean my kids picking up rocks. You break a kid down to the point where he's like ready to pass out and stuff, that kid will listen to you. That has worked.
Yeah.
You break people down and you build them back up the way that you want them.
You're not breaking them down. You're breaking off all the crap.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You bring them down to a basic level.
Well, I'll say this. If I would have known that's what he was doing, it would have been much better.
Right.
That's
the difference.
That's the point.
So the message wasn't received because he wasn't delivering it correctly.
And when you don't know, then there's resentment and there's anger and there's hatred. There's all these things. So because you're like, he's just a jerk. Right.
You feel like he's being lazy, right?
Yeah.
You feel like he's just sitting there and you're like, really? Like,
but no, seriously, I was picking up all the rocks and then the grass is growing because I picked up all the freaking rocks, So,
now you got to cut the grass.
Yeah, now I have to cut grass. But anyway, and no, but to that point though, he gave me good examples of what to do and what not to do. A lot of what not to do, in my opinion, on some things that I would have tweaked a little bit better. And then the other person in my life that was very predominant was my grandfather. Now, he wasn't perfect either. I mean, he was broken. He would have been a broken home.
Jesus either?
No, he definitely wasn't Jesus. There's only one perfect person in this entire world that's on record in the Bible, in the great book, Jesus Christ. So go look him up, find out that's all about.
I was just going to do a small plug, but you just went full on.
Yeah, I did. I'll take that full on. That's my personal belief. So you can take it or leave it, whatever you want to do. It's all you. But so the other thing though is that when my grandfather in his life, he gave me that gentleman's code, that open the door, that be respectful, be on time, which I wasn't tonight. Sorry, guys. And other things of that sort, So it was really cool to see that side of things. And it was like I had to put together the best figure of a man in my mind. I had to take bits and pieces from all these other people. It wasn't just one person that I could look to. And it's sad to say that's hard to come by, finding someone other than Cam and your dad.
Well, hey, really listen, cool. and I love my dad. And you know what's cool is after this first episode, my dad obviously listened to it and he was appreciative or whatever, and he had some kind words back. None of y'all really know him that well. I hope you get to know him, but he's amazing. But he's still not the only person. Like, right. I mean, he's not perfect, like you said. Mm-hmm. There's certainly things that he didn't do right. He would be the first one to admit that, which makes him more of a man, in my opinion.
Right.
well, I think we're going to talk about some of that is, but there's still, you still have to piece it together. I probably didn't have to piece it together as much as some of you guys did because you didn't have that one good core place to build from, but you still have multiple outlets. To this day, I still have, multiple people that I'm trying to learn from and grow from and gain wisdom from because they're just older than me. They've been around the block more and they know more than I do, and their experiences have been different. And I think as we'll talk about as we get into more of these episodes and more of this movement and everything we're doing is, man, it's just continual. Like you don't get to the end. You don't get to the point where you're like, never. I am the perfect man.
You never come to an arrived moment and say, I've arrived. If you do that, you're automatically going stagnant because you're mostly made of water, and water sitting still is going to get stagnant. You have to constantly be grinding. You have to go after it.
Well,
all the time.
And what's sad about what you said, or not what you said, but what we're talking about right now is the fact that we have to single out a single point to say, man, that's great. Like Cameron had a father figure that was like engaged and all this and stuff. And this isn't a dig at anybody's father, but it's the fact of the entire reason why we're doing what we're doing is because the expectation is to create men in society today. I picture what we're doing right now, 10, 15, 20 years, 50 years down the road, people talking about the reason that men are held accountable. And the reason that men do what they're doing today is because there was a movement at one point that realized the gap that we had.
Yep.
We had a serious gap. And I'm probably a little bit more sensitive to that gap. And I don't mean sensitive like pansy kind of sensitive. I mean sensitive
like,
as
do you need a hug and stuff? Or?
Sensory. If I could get a hug afterwards, right now there's some wires.
As long as the shirt's off.
If I could get a hug afterwards, it'd be great.
I got you, bro.
Thank you.
I got you.
We'll do that. We'll do that over a cigar
Kumbaya.
later. But
Kumbaya.
It's there's a gap. There's no doubt there's a gap there. Dude, if you look at things, the single mother households have increased by a stupid amount. And that doesn't mean that there weren't problems back in the day.
Right.
It's always been there. It's
but
just
it wasn't
prevalent
acceptable.
now.
But that's the biggest difference.
Right.
It wasn't acceptable back then. You stuck it out. Even if you were a shitty person, you figure it out.
Right.
Yep.
You figure it out. And nowadays, it's acceptable.
It's okay to not figure it out
You
now.
can go have 16 kids by 16 different women and leave the kids out
and
there
not be
to
responsible
fend
for any of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Listen, dude, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Like, if you can't knock boots and then be responsible afterwards, then don't do it.
It's the greatest thing I've ever done.
With knocking boots?
Well, that is raising kids.
Yes. Yeah. No, I'd say
Kids
knocking
will
boots
make
number
you
one,
better.
raising kids
No,
number two.
I'm saying, yeah, okay.
Hey, I see Josh getting a little high on
No,
it.
Isn't your wife pregnant?
She is pregnant. So knocking boots was important.
Exactly.
It was very important.
Exactly.
But to
Take
be
notes,
honest
guys.
with you, man, when you start looking at stuff from that perspective, but that takes a certain level of personal growth to understand that. Yeah. It takes a certain level of personal growth. And all you guys know that because you guys read.
Well, we just
all read.
Yep.
If you're not reading as a man, then you're failing as a man. You are a boy that has not yet become a man. If you're not reading and getting better every day, then you're screwing the pooch.
And Josh is talking about books like, Built to Last, Slight Edge, books that something you can learn from, anything that makes your mind move and learn. Not Harry Potter, not Game of Thrones, not Lord of the Rings. We're talking about books that elevate you.
I really was thinking I'd base my life on Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Dude,
I was thinking about trying to become Khaleesi, dude. So
I don't even know who that is,
Game of
but
Thrones again.
it's a cool name.
So I have this really cool origami book that has really helped me out with being a father, and a husband. But real shit, dude, if you're listening to this and you're a man and you're reading Harry Potter, or I don't care if you're reading some of these romance novels or whatever, like you're wasting your freaking time.
Yeah.
You might as well watch Netflix. And I'm not downing Netflix. I'm not downing any of that stuff. If you want to watch a movie or you want to watch a show, then great. But invest in yourself
after.
first.
Right. If that's coming before your family, that's where you're wrong.
Invest in yourself first.
Yeah, dude. It's
So-
a great morning ritual, honestly.
Absolutely.
Whatever time of day. Listen, and
it in
I know
whenever you
I
can.
agree with that. This is one thing that you will see successful men, and I think successful people in general, but we're talking about men, is if listen to any of them, like any books they've read or books they've written, any content they put out there, they always talk about getting up early, investing in themselves before the world starts, before all that other because nobody else is awake and nobody else is doing it, or staying up late, which is I'll be honest, that's typically my MO, is staying up when everybody else has crashed. Right? Do I want to? Hell no, I don't want to. But I do, and I engage myself, and I put good content in my own brain through listening and through reading and things like that, because I need to be ready tomorrow morning when I get up.
Wait, are you inferring that you don't make excuses?
I'm not saying I'll never do. Honestly, if I'm being completely transparent, I'd love to say that I never make excuses. I will say this. Sometimes I make excuses, and then I just say, okay, that's a great excuse, but I just can't. I don't. It's that being excellent for half a second.
I got a question. So just as a man, I would, Cameron, I respect you. I respect all you guys.
Everybody.
I would not be sitting at this table if I didn't respect all of you. But as a man of valor, which I would consider you a man of valor, when you do make an excuse for yourself, and let's say that tomorrow night you make an excuse for yourself, I've been traveling around, blah, 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 I'm doing the things with the family, I'm not going to read tonight because it's late and stuff like that. Is there something different in you than the common man when you decide you don't want to read?
I think so. I mean, because to me, when the times when I'm faced with that, where I go, or any of us, or any man out there that's growing themselves or leading their family goes, man, I don't feel like it, or or it's just not. I'm just not going to do it tonight, or whatever. If I don't, I'd love to sit here and say I've never caved to that. I'd love to say that. But if anybody listening to this says they never have, you are full of crap.
Yeah, you're full of crap.
You have caved at some point, at least once.
Yeah.
Right? When I do, the difference is the next day I am pissed at myself. I'm completely mad at myself, and I know for a fact that I lost an opportunity to get better, because then the next day when I wake up, I'm the same as I was when I went to bed. So I lost a day. I lost a day of getting better. Right? Beautiful. And so when I don't feel like it, when I remind myself of that feeling of you're going to feel like a freaking loser, or your kid's not going to see you do it, which is, you were talking about the working out thing, and I love for my kids to see me read. I love it. I want my kid to see me read all the time. I try as often as possible, especially my middle kid, because he stays up later. He's me. He's like a little mini me. He sees me read all the time. He asks me if I'm about to read. I want him to see that because I want him to do it, right? And if I don't do it, I know I'm not only hurting me, I'm hurting him.
So you're saying basically your kids pull out the best of you, where all these
100%.
other men that go and say, hey, I donated the seed, but now I don't have to commit to the crime and actually take care of a responsibility. You're actually using what the God-sent thing that was given to you as a boy or son, saying,
it's amazing
this is
how
my reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was thinking about what JP was talking about earlier. Like, he likes to work out in front of his kids, which I love that you said that, because like working out by yourself, you get it's like an addition. Working out in front of your kids is multiplication. Right. Mm-hmm. So if it's the same thing with reading or listening or speaking kind to your wife or kissing your wife. It's so important that your kids see
Smacking
you kiss
your
your
wife's
wife.
butt.
All that stuff, being playful, hugging, loving, all that kind of stuff. It's so important. I want so badly to grow myself so that I can grow my kids, so I can invest in my kids. And when I'm not doing that, I feel like a freaking loser. I really do feel like a freaking loser.
So, and I know you have something that you want to transition.
Oh, I know what it was. I know what it was. Sorry. I don't want to interrupt you, but it's not technically interrupting you because it was my point that I just remembered.
I stopped.
Okay. You were talking about being an example. You were talking about working out in front of your kids. So I don't look like Josh with my shirt off because I choose not to. Okay.
Let's just preface that.
And there's some genetics in there
That's the
too.
best excuse I've heard in a long time. How's that
I
working?
told you I make them too. But I do work out
because you never will.
I do work out. Now I'm going to.
Called out.
That was the old
give me
Arnold
12
thing, right?
months.
We don't want to look like you.
Give me
Well,
12.
that's good,
I don't want to look
never
like
will.
you either, but just because you said I won't, I will.
All right, good.
But I work out too, and I'll be honest with you. We, and you guys know this. We all went to the beach recently. We took some vacation. Like, we're all humans too, man. I was on a 7-day-a-week, some kind of exercise, whatever, good strong diet, like eating clean, all this kind of stuff. We go to the beach for a week, then we come back. We go on another trip for a few days, and we go on another trip the weekend after that. I got out of my routine, and I am a routine dude. Like, I love routine. I don't know if I love it, but I'm in it. Right? Once I get going with it.
Feel better about being in it.
But when I get out of it, I'm out of it, dude. Like, I'm out. Right?
Hairball,
You're puking over here. I don't know what's going on.
Dude, I am an adventurous kind of individual. So I am.
No, you're like my wife. Y'all's personality is just saying.
Yes.
And
Let
your
him
wife
get to his point.
Yeah,
Let me
go
get to
ahead.
my point.
Carry.
And it's very short. The point is, last night, I was working out on my back deck at midnight because it's the only time I could do it, because I value my time time with my kids and my wife, and I wait until that time is not productive anymore, like they're going to sleep or whatever, and I'm out there working out, and then I'm showering, then I'm reading, then I'm doing all that kind of stuff that a bunch of other dudes are just going to bed. Right, and I said that to my wife the other day. I was like, "You want to?" I was like, "You don't want to know the core of what we're doing with Shepherds of Men. The reason that we believe the way we believe, or the reason we are who we are, is because when other people are going to sleep, we're just getting started. Because we spent all day investing into other people, and then when everybody goes to sleep, we start investing in ourselves. So in the morning, we can wake up and invest in other people at another level, right? So I was out there and I was freaking struggling last night. If I'm just being transparent, I was doing burpees and I was struggling. Like I hadn't even done as many as I had done the prior time I did them. And all I could think about, to your point, all I could think about was my freaking 4-year-old son, man. I was like, if he was standing here watching you, would you still be doing them? And I'm like, it wouldn't even be close. Like, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. Like, it wouldn't even be a question. Like, if he knew I had 100 to do, I wouldn't even question it at 60, right? Wow. So, anyways, that was
use what you have.
No, I think that's great. I think I'm glad I sat back and listened, because that was absolutely what I was going to get at, is the fact that the reason that we get emotional about what we do with the Shepherds of Men is because of that right there.
Yep.
Yeah. Think about who's looking at you. And I'm talking to every one of you shitheads out there right now in the virtual universe that are listening to this. If you don't have kids, think about who's looking at you when you do what you do.
Which is everybody.
Instill faith in humanity.
Yep.
Like, do something. Like, when you go take that cart as a grown man and you put it in the cart slot in the parking lot, you take the 5 freaking seconds to push it in there. There is a kid, I guarantee you, in the vicinity that watched you walk out of your way. I don't care if you have kids or not. If you have kids, you don't have an excuse.
Yep.
Yeah. Right.
If you don't have kids, don't be an asshole.
Yeah. Right.
Well, here's the
everybody
truth.
has somebody. Everybody has somebody they look up to. Yeah. So if they're not around, just think that in your mind right now. When you go to do what you're about to do, and if they saw you do what you just did, and they didn't like what you did, don't do it.
Yeah.
It goes
Do
back to
something
glass
else.
house
Be
mentality
the
we talked
bigger
about last
man.
time. Yep. O'Neill talks about this all the time, the glass house mentality.
Yeah. Oh no, we haven't heard from you in a while. Come on, chime in.
Man, I'm just listening. I'm just good stuff. Man. This is great stuff. So
I didn't know if you had anything. Go ahead.
Well, it's we got on the shopping cart thing last time, right? Yeah. But it's the truth. And here's the other side of that.
It's the freaking truth.
It is a freaking truth.
It's the stupidest example that is the most relevant thing on this planet.
That's why it's so relevant. It's because it's so insignificant. But it goes back to that little mundane shit that nobody thinks about or wants to do. But the truth is, like, not only are you being a good example for whoever's watching you, but you're building your own self-image. So, like, everything we're talking about in the last few minutes is building yourself so you can pour into others. Like, doing that, listen, I'm telling you, man, and even since we've been doing this, like, every little piece of that little crap is, when I do it, I feel better about it.
Man, and for those of guys that are listening that haven't invested in themselves yet, the biggest thing there is, man, when you do, you will feel so fucking awesome after. And the biggest thing is when you develop that habit habitually, you'll be addicted to the results.
Oh, best high you'll ever have.
Gym. And I know Josh gets it because look at him. Jesus, he's a freaking specimen. So
it's in the mirror. It's in the mirror.
It is good looking at what you guys say.
You just look at yourself in the mirror differently. You'll say things and you'll be like, "Holy shit, did that come from me?" You know, because you're investing in yourself. You're listening to things that help you grow. You're reading things that help you grow, and your family looks at you differently, and you feel different, man. And you walk different. You carry yourself different. When you get to that point, you have an energy around you that when you walk in a room, you essentially kicked in the fucking door and you're like, "Sup, I'm here."
Sup,
right?
Yeah, sup. You know, but that's it, man. When you hit that level and you've and I'm not saying that there is a top level because there never is. There's always more to munch on. There's always more stuff to help you grow. But when you hit that confidence level and you go into a room and you know you can help people, man, that's how you know you're a man. You know, that's how when people are coming to you for answers, that's when you know you've donned the mantle. You know, and I'm not talking like, hey, man, do you have that report for me today? That's not the kind of fucking shit I'm talking about. I'm talking about people come to you for advice on things. Like, hey, man, what are you doing this month? How are you getting these kind of results? You know, that's the kind of stuff You know that you're either have donned the mantle or you're starting to don the mantle. You know,
That's powerful.
I just like the way you say "don the mantle."
No. I like the dawn term. Like you've really latched on the dawn term.
I like that.
But real shit though. To your point, the small minuscule things that you don't believe are big. Nobody's gonna give you a plaque. You're not gonna hang it on your wall. But after you do it for 30 days, like the bullshit stuff that you do for 30 days, and I know we keep going back to the shopping cart method, but if you drop the shopping cart out in front of your car and you leave, regardless of what you think, it hangs with you.
Yep.
In your subconscious mind, it sits with you. And if you're listening to this podcast, our goal as Shepherds of Men is to make you understand the difference between your conscious and your subconscious mind. There's a very big difference there. And if you want to feel like a winner and you want to go out and you want to conquer and you want to win this thing we call life, you better get your subconscious in check. Amen. And so I got to share this story. We had the last episode that we had, our introduction. We talked about the cart, and it was cool because it got a lot of feedback on the cart because it was like, holy shit, because it was everything people could relate to. So we're sitting in Florida. We went on vacation right afterwards as a team. The Shepherds of Men, it worked out great. We all got to go down there by the beach.
Baby.
We all got to hang
awesome.
out and have a good time and stuff. Me and my wife went to the grocery store to get some replenishments for the house that we were at.
Just call it that one. It was beer. A little bit of food, but
and some bottled water.
Sorry, celery,
Some bottle
carrots,
Celery,
You cooked shrimp. It was good.
light ranch.
Light ranch. Yeah. That just means a small bottle.
But anyway, so what was great is I'm sitting out there in the truck, and my wife is like, "Hey, I'll run in there because we only need a couple things, and I'll grab it." You know, we got.
Can I go back to this?
We got 2 kids. They're sitting in the car, right? So I'm sitting there, and I see these folks walk in front of me, a man and his wife, right? They got 2 carts full of stuff. They loaded it into this BMW that they have. It's convertible. They drop the top down and stuff and start loading it up with all these groceries. And I can't help but notice that they're just I could almost look at these people and go, they're not going to put the shopping cart back.
Yep.
It's not going to happen. They're not going to put it back. And I was really, really conscious of this. So the guy takes the 2 shopping carts and pushes them over into the parking spot next to him that's open and parks them right in the middle of the parking spot. What's even worse about it is the corral was 3 parking spots down.
That's a long ways, though.
So
But what was
long.
great, and you guys will understand this more than the listeners,
Yeah.
but his wife got in the driver's seat.
Dude, I will tell you one thing for sure. We're talking about the title of this episode is What Makes a Man. It ain't letting the woman drive. And I know some people are going to get pissed off about that. Listen, my wife, she drives. If we've been rolling hard for like however many hours and I just can't drive anymore, she'll step up and she's amazing. It'll be 4 o'clock in the morning. She'll take over. But the truth of the matter is I drive my family.
Hey, I'm going to be honest with you. If that woman was the one that wasn't hopping in the car to turn the car on and the shopping carts were in her hand, I bet she put them up.
She'd have put them up.
Probably.
The guy didn't. That she would have put those carts up. But she got in the car to start the car up. And the guy, you could tell, he took the carts. He didn't know I was sitting in my truck. He took the carts and he put them in the parking spot next. And you could tell that there was damage to his subconscious because the guy looked both ways. And I know you guys can't see this, but he turned his head both ways just to kind of look and drop the carts off. So I took it as an opportunity to hop out of my truck and go, hey, bro, nice car. I got the carts. Don't worry about it. You guys go have fun.
Exactly.
And the guy kind of looked at me like, it was like a kick in the nuts, but at the same time, it was like he had to preserve his pride. So he was like, fuck you, you little cheapskate. Yeah, you should be pushing my cart.
What I hate is seeing that there's a man in the car at a gas station and the girl's
Oh,
pumping gas.
man. Oh, my
Wait,
God.
That
Hey,
drives
hey.
me insane. Why
Come
the hell
on,
are you
dude.
having
Listen,
your girl
hey, listen.
come
Hey.
serve you like that? You get out of the freaking car
Cringing over here.
and do it. Get out the car.
Wait, and we're asking him to pull a chair out?
Dude, you know what? My dad would have
Seriously.
punched me in the face if I'd have let my mom get out and pump gas.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
If you're listening to this and you call yourself a man and you allow your wife to fill your tank while you're in her presence,
She fills my
you
love
are not
tank.
a man.
Yeah, but hold on, wait a minute, Wilson. Now there is a side note to that. If there's some really interesting shit on Facebook,
Oh, that's true.
he probably needs
That's
to
true.
sit in the car and check his Facebook.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I
Now,
know
if
you
you
guys are giving me
physically
shitty
can't,
looks.
And if it's hot
physically
outside.
No,
can't,
you guys are giving me shitty look.
then
No,
that's different.
seriously. If he needs to check his Facebook, let that motherfucker check his Facebook, dude. Like, why are you guys getting so
that's
much
so
about that?
important.
Let him check his Facebook while she pumps the gas.
I mean, what's it going to
money.
hurt? What's it going to hurt,
That's
right?
all
She
I
does
see
everything
is
else.
that-
That was a
flipping that freaking
joke.
phone.
Just in
Yeah,
case
that's-
anybody
that's
doesn't
totally
know
true.
me, that was complete sarcasm.
A lot of that is they weren't given the right example.
No, they weren't.
It really goes back to
completely
that. It
in
really
their
does.
subconscious. They don't
Yeah.
think about maybe I should drive. Maybe I'm the captain of my ship.
We're joking about it, but the
100%
truth is his mom drove everywhere when he was a
It
kid.
could have been
Yeah, it
because
was.
there
My
are
mom
so
did
many
too.
broken. Like
Yeah.
that never occurred to me before I met you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like Candy would drive when if it was her car, she would drive. If it was my car, I would drive. And sometimes it would just be like, man, hey babe, I know you drove all day today. I'll drive, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, no problem. But it comes down to after I met you guys, like, man, who's the captain of your ship?
Right.
Are you the captain of the ship? And it's not an ego thing in your house. Like, nah, babe, I got this. It's just, hey, babe, I got you.
That's the part that's important for people to understand, though, is because it really isn't an ego thing. It really isn't a chauvinistic thing. It really is. I don't want my wife to worry about stuff. Like, my wife is my queen. Like, I want her to be able to sit over in that passenger seat and do whatever the hell she wants to do, and I'll drive until I physically can't anymore.
It's
right.
not
I
a social
got
meia.
this.
Yeah.
I was
got
just
this.
about to say, dude, you read my
Kingdom
mind.
Man. Every man in this podcast that's listening to this
Mm-hmm.
should get the book Kingdom Man and read it. And
Yep.
he says, "I got this." Three fingers up, and that's what it means. Is I got it, and that's what you should be giving to your entire family, to your wife, to your spouse, everybody who's significant to your life. You should have that demeanor in every environment.
You guys ever seen
got
that movie
this.
that it's got Ice Cube in it? I hope it's okay to say names and stuff, but it's something about it's not like a City of Compton movie. It's like a kids movie, and they at the end of it is, but you know how they're all like cutesy or whatever, and at the end of it, the moral of it is like she's doing this report thing at school or like drawing a picture with crayons at school or whatever, and it says who is dad, and it's like what makes a man. And her definition is dad's the one that drives when everybody else is sleepy. That's powerful.
Yeah, that is good.
That's freaking powerful. And that is freaking what dad is. Dad's the one that does things when everybody else is sleeping.
Yep. Yeah, back
That's
to
good
what
stuff,
my brother
man.
said.
Dad does things
that-
he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't want to do.
Not
right.
convenient.
It doesn't freaking matter. You don't get a pass as a man. Life is difficult. Life is tough. Life is hard. Get a helmet. Like, dude, that's the way shit rolls, man. As a man, you were born with privileges as a man. And by privileges, I mean as a ruler of your domain, you are a man, and it is your responsibility to take care of your domain. But, the whole hero thing, right? With much power comes much responsibility. You do have power as a man. Your job is to rule your domain and take care, but the flip side of that is when you're tired and your wife's asleep, suck it the fuck up and drive.
Right?
I have a hard time with that kind of stuff because I've drove 12-hour drives when I'm tired as hell, and I was up that morning. I'm literally like bobbing and stuff like that, and like I've done it because my wife is asleep. I would.
Let me tell you who gives a shit. I mean, like we
Nobody.
do, but you know what I'm saying? Like, but the thing is, there's that the flip side of that where it's like I drove 3 hours and then I told everybody about it.
Oh yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
who cares, man?
yeah.
Like, you're supposed to. It's not like I've never been to jail. You ain't supposed to go to jail. I drove my whole family for 12 hours. You're supposed to drive your whole family.
But that's the
I
problem.
put the shopping cart up. You're supposed to put the fucking shopping cart up.
Right. That's the problem with society today, though. Everybody wants a ribbon.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody gets a participation trophy for everything. So they're like, "No, wait a minute. I cut the grass today."
Right.
Like, oh, well, good for
You
you.
should've cut it
I know I
yesterday.
said that today, and I don't need to hear anything from you. Yeah.
So it's a recognition thing, and
Yeah.
and they think that they should be recognized for all the little details that they do, and they don't. You do what you're supposed to do without the recognition, and in a relationship, it's 100% zero. Put that in your mind. 100% is on you. You should expect zero in return.
You just blew
That is
everybody
unconditional.
that's listening to this podcast mind.
Yes.
You're like, wait a minute, though. I should go half in.
No,
It's 50-50.
It's 100% in, or
If
it's
you're
never going to
50-50,
work.
then you're probably
If
half
you-
male, half woman.
Hey, if you believe like we do at this table, is that when you make a commitment, you're 100% in that commitment, and there's nothing going to get in your way. And if you go, I hate the fact that these lazy, my feelings, or it's in the moment. I don't feel like I should continue to do this because they don't love me. Fuck it. Screw you and your feelings. Damn, get up and make yourself go the commitment. You committed to your wife, stay with her. Don't go fucking go over to somebody else and go, oh, my neighbor looks hot. I want to go after that. Let's go tap that shit. No, that's not how you do shit.
Damn.
If you made a commitment,
this.
stay with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm fucking tired of broken homes. You know, you understand, when you have kids, it's your responsibility to stay with those kids. They're looking to you, motherfucker. And I'm all up on my tangent.
You're
I
fired
don't
up now.
like broken homes.
This is the biggest
If you're
soapbox
going
I've
to
ever
make
seen
a
him go on.
commitment, stay with it. If you got kids, you stay with it. You suck it up. You become a man, and you have conversations with those people. And if you don't have a conversation, or if you ain't got the balls to have a conversation, dude, get somebody else involved. Go talk to somebody else. I've had so many women come to me and go, "Oh, you're such a good person. You talk to me better than my husband," and all this other nonsense. And I chose not to go after that because I am a man. And if you're a man, you go tell her, hey, you go talk to a priest. You go talk to your mom. You go talk to your dad. You go talk to somebody, but not me. I am not going to be your downfall because of that husband who is caring about you. Y'all just need to talk.
Yeah.
Have some communication. Have some balls to go say, hey, I have a problem, and I need to talk to you about it.
But wait, you're talking about, like, you're getting into a whole nother subject where you're talking about people having to drop their pride, because pride comes before the fall, right? And I know everybody that's listening to this podcast has probably heard that. They've probably never thought about it. I'd say 85% of people haven't thought about it, but pride is what kills you. And ultimately, that's what happens right there. Instead of humbling yourself and saying, listen, what's going on? What did I do? You know what? I'm sorry. That's the hardest thing in the world for people to say.
Absolutely. Go, Joe.
You know, and to go on what you're saying, Chris or Wilson, your grass would be just as green as the other side if you fucking took care of it.
Yeah.
You know,
You got
Oh,
to
that's
water that
good.
shit.
yeah, you gotta water it. You gotta throw seed down. You know?
Throw some seed on that grass.
Wait, are you
Good.
implying? Are you implying it's not greener on the other side?
Absolutely.
But that's the thing. It's easy to get caught up in that, man. Oh, the grass is always greener.
Yep.
Man, my neighbor looks pretty good today. I mean, look, you know.
Just so weak. That is the weakest
So
freaking
weak.
thing
It really
I've
is,
ever heard in
dude.
my
And
life.
it's only going to last for a minute. It only lasts
Is
for
that
a
how long you
season.
last?
Maybe a minute and a half.
Maybe a minute and a half. I don't know.
But seriously,
Are we
and that-
counting getting dressed here?
That applies to so many things. You know, today we're talking about Dawn and the Mantle, dude. The grass isn't always greener. That's part of it. If you water your fucking grass, it's not always greener on the other side.
Absolutely.
Well, the fact of the matter is, you know, you are with the person you were, especially if you've made the commitment of marriage.
Yeah.
Which I think more people should probably do. You know, there's a difference between marriage and living together as boyfriend
And this
girlfriend.
6 year, 7 year, 10-year engagement, dude, if you don't know within a freaking year and a half, get off the horse. Go find another horse. Like, I understand that, okay, people, and I know we have one that it's like, okay, they went through college, they were in high school sweethearts. That's different. But if you go to propose and you're going to know that you're going to get married, get married. You go to courthouse. You don't have to have an extravagant.
Well, we're talking about what makes a man. I know we're getting on
still.
some freaking soapboxes
Yes,
right
we
now, which is
are.
amazing, and I'm getting chill bumps. But what makes a man? Commitment makes a man. Like freaking,
Amen.
like pull the trigger, dude. Only reason you're not saying "Will you marry me" is because you're looking for a back door, or you think you might want to keep that back door open. That's the only reason that you would not say "Will you marry me."
Hey, the
Okay?
things that scare you in life make you better. And if you are scared of commitment, just jump in, man. I'm telling you, especially if you really love the person you in, and you say you love the person that you're with, dude, jump in.
I'll
100%.
tell you one thing that's always hit me pretty hard is, as a man, if we're talking about what is a man stands behind his commitment long after the feeling goes away.
Amen.
Because when you first make that commitment, man, dude,
Feels
think
good.
about it, that honeymoon feeling, like it's like, boom,
Honeymoon
like
was
this
the
is
best part.
great. Everything's awesome, dude. She yells at me and it makes me happy.
Yeah.
Like it turns me on or whatever it is. Like
What are you
I don't know
doing?
what your weird shit is, all you weird fuckers out there and stuff. But to be honest with you, a true man makes a commitment and he stands behind it even after the feeling's gone.
Yep.
The problem with things today is everybody bases their shit off of feelings. Everybody bases
Everybody.
their stuff off of things. You know what? I made that commitment, but it's a week and a half later. I don't feel the same about it, so I'm backing out of it. That's bullshit.
And us at Shepherds of Men, we don't care about your feelings. We care about your growth. If you're not growing from this, we've lost. We're failing you.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And that's what the Shepherds of Men are. You make a commitment, and this is, and to be honest with you, if you are a man, right now, and you are a man and you consider yourself a man, you're listening to this podcast and you're shaking your head going, you know what? They're right. This is a great point. These guys have really got it dialed in. They understand, like, these are good points and stuff. To be honest with you, shame on you, because you have a responsibility as a man to spread this. You have a responsibility as a man to instill the humanity, like where people look at men again and they go, you know what? There are gentlemen out there. And I don't mean shame on you in a sense of you're not doing things right. But what I mean is, if you are a man out there and you're shaking your head to this podcast right now going, you know what? They're right. They've got a lot of really good, solid points on this. Our goal is to take you in the Shepherds of Men umbrella and empower you to do what you need to do to spread it.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, we can't. 4 guys are not going to make the difference.
We need you.
4 guys are going to make the difference, but 4 guys are going to make the difference because it's the trickle down effect. It's the next 2, it's the next 4, it's the next 6.
The multiplier.
It's the multiplication
like
effect.
what you said.
Yeah. And that's what. And I had this conversation with somebody that listened to our first podcast. I had the conversation today, and he said, "Listen, now one thing I want to ask you is, do you ever see yourself?" I can't remember the verbiage he used, but basically like. Expanding this to other people. I'm like, 100% Shepherds of Men does not believe that we're the only 4 shepherds on earth,
Amen.
right? And the fact of the matter is, just like we talked about last time, we're still growing every day too. So nobody needs to misconstrue what we're saying here. Again, we're growing every single day on purpose, right? But our whole goal, our whole mission is to have multiple people in each state, in each country, in each continent that can don this mantle of leadership, as O says so well, that we can continue this movement. So it's reaching more people. We're in 3 countries already after 1 episode. But listen, there's way more than 3 countries on this globe, right? And we're pumped about that, but the fact is we're going to continue to put out content. We're going to continue to grow ourselves. We're going to continue to pour into other people. We're going to continue to lead our families and be the examples that other people can follow, because we want other people to follow it and be the examples for their generation and for the other folks that are in their sphere of influence, because we can't do it on our own. We're asking people to not make us do it on our own. We will do it. We will stand in the gap. We will, for the rest of our life, do what is the right thing to do. And our kids will, because they'll see how it's supposed to be done. But we believe that if we do that other people will come alongside us, not behind us, alongside us, and do it with us. And then we're going to be more powerful together. And we're going to talk about that in episode 3, which is going to be Legends Form Legacies, because it's not just important that we do what's right. It's important that we teach what's right and be the example of what's right, so then the next generation can continue to grow, because what changed this society was not 1 generation. It was multiple generations of a little bit, and slacking. What's going to get it back is going the other direction a little bit.
And men leading from the front.
I couldn't agree more with the way you said that. That's an outstanding way to put that. And it's about having other men standing with us. And what I meant by 4 men cannot change the world by ourselves is probably the best way to put that. Mm-hmm. But dude, Cameron, that's a great little way to put that. Like that's awesome, man. And I couldn't agree with that more. Because that's the entire goal of this movement, right? I mean,
it is a movement. It's not just 4 dudes talking about it.
No, man, and we're gonna have a good time. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, we got deep on some of this stuff, but it's because we're very passionate about it. And I've noticed a couple of you guys well up a little bit. You know, maybe the eyes got a little bit shinier than what they normally are, and stuff like that. Here. And it should be, because if it doesn't, then you're not passionate about what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You know, and I agree with you wholeheartedly
100%.
About that kind of stuff. And like you said, the next episode is probably even more so, because right now it's about, as a man, how do you become a man? What is a man? What are the next steps? You know, and I know Wilson is going to kind of outline some things before we sign off on this one, of some daily activities that you guys can take to start to become more of a man. Just from our recommendations and from some things that we've seen from men that are greater than us. You know, and like Cameron said, we're all imperfect. We're all growing daily and stuff. So, you know, Cameron, man, I appreciate that, dude. I really do. That was awesome.
Wilson, can you wrap us up as far as some bullet points on some practical takeaways for the guys that are really, that are really feeling this, that are really going, okay, where do I start? You know?
That is definitely how I want to wrap this up. And Guys out there that is listening to this, I want you to think of these things. I want you to think about what your own definition of a man is. I want you to write down, are you doing what your own definition is? I want you to think about the characteristics that make a man. Think about what really of the men of old were all about, and how you treat your wife. Do you call her old lady? Because if you do, that's the most disrespectful thing you could ever say to your wife. You want a better marriage? Stop saying that.
Stop telling your wife she's old.
Think about your work ethic. Are you giving it your all in what you do? Are you passionate about what you do? And if you're not passionate about what you do, get passionate about something and go do it. Explain, or think about like your adversity that you run into. Think about the things that you ran into in your life. Did you accept what you ran into? Did you push through that adversity, or did you let the adversity or that circumstance dictate your life? Think about how you lead your family. Can they look to you as the leader, or do they have to look at your wife? How do you interact with other men? Guys, it's not all about you. There's other men that need you. And I know I do much better with this group right here that we're talking about with Shepherds and Men when I'm accountable to them. Who are you accountable to? And the society needs you. It's time for you to stand up, because the way that the society is going right now, it's a free-for-all. And we need leaders, men standing in the gap, standing up for what's right, and actually leading the charge. Dude, if you've got a battle that you're facing, add another brother in there to help you out. If you're in a battle right now, the battle is our nation, our family, and what you believe in and pushing forward every single day. So I'm going to leave you with this. This is the movement. Our mission is to develop shepherds and men, and in the entire world. If you're in a different country, God bless you. Thank you for listening to what we got going on. And I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we look forward to the next one. But until then, be the person you could be proud of, the person you can look in the mirror and go, I love you, man. I am excited about who you are becoming, and go become.